Lovely. So, let's just tell a good evening, everyone. Again, now we have some people in. We are continuing the new world's map contest as we had during the previous stream. We will be looking at, I guess, a few of the updated versions, but primarily we're gonna be going through 4-player maps. So yeah, really looking forward for that. I don't remember which map we skipped. Was it Trinity? I think Minerals mentioned that Trinity was not updated last time. So I'm not sure if we should be looking at that now. It's the updated version. We can come back to that later. If Mr. Minerals shows up in chat, then he can surely let us know. So we're gonna have some exciting 4-player maps. We're gonna be going through. I don't know if I'm gonna do 2.5 hour stream like last time because my voice, bloody hell, I've got some cold. I've lost my voice. And doing 2 hours of talking on stream is definitely not gonna be helping. So let's just open my notes. My little Excel sheet I've created last time for this purpose, and we're gonna be, let's get going. So let's check out some exciting maps. And as usually, of course, the recording will be available both on YouTube and on Twitch if you missed it. All right, let's get going. So 4-player maps. Quite a few of them, I think 15 or 17 ahead of us. So let's start with that one here. Abyss of Remains version 0.95, created by TNW Zombie. Mr. TNW Zombie is our Korean brother here. We have the Abyss of Remains here. I had the version 0.92, so we have 0.95 now. And he submitted 3 maps. It's going to be the first map we're going to be looking at. He submitted 3 4-player maps. Therefore, he seems to be a 4-player map specialist at this point. And I can already see this is something unusual, just how the map looks like. Let's check it out. Right, so as previously, we'll be trying to go for 3 scores on the map. The one is gonna be how the map looks like. So-called aesthetics. We're going to be talking about the map design, how much, how we like the map design, the layout of the map, the expansions and creativity. And the 4th one is going to be the gameplay. So it's my subjective, well, all of those are my subjective opinions, but gameplay is my subjective opinion on how interesting the map is actually going to be for players, right? And how much players would like to play it. As the creativity doesn't necessarily fit those. So these are going to be the 3 criteria we're going to be looking at. Let's start with the usual analysis of the map. So just checking out the surroundings here. So I guess this is a 4-player map, so we probably primarily have to focus on a quarter of it, plus of course some things like islands here. And then I guess the same pattern will be replicated across the map, just with some different visuals. So, alright, so we have a pretty standard main here. Nice corner base, safe, this is all fine. The main is normal size, it's not too big, it provides some good defensive and vision from the high ground. And there if we travel for that nice round, there's some data here probably from Woloffs. Into our natural we have 7. So far very standard map, looks very standard. Enough space for defending, but not enough to, what I want to say? I want to say that it's not too wide nor too spacious for, for holding your natural. So there's also some opportunities for, I guess, some also very, very standard here. From here we can move on into unbuildable terrain. We have a mineral only, but again, as we talked last time, some of the mineral onlys were crazy. This kind of mineral onlys that are on your natural path of kind of like expanding, you will move your army here, you can take that. These are fine. So we have a 3rd base here, and then we also have a 4th base, which is a little bit further, but still, other than this big ramp, looking downwards, and we can't build anything here, so that's a little bit tricky. We have a 2nd path here, so pretty okay-ish 4-base setup. Not overly easy for sure. You can just maybe some high ground for holding. I'm not talking primarily Terran, of course, but I think pretty fine. The small issue I see here is again for Zergs, maybe. No, but I think it's okay. They can go mineral and they can go gas. The ZVT may be particularly hard for Zergs, but of course it's a 4-player map, so this is like not your 3rd base as in current Muta maps, but more of one of the faraway mains. So that's the beauty of 4-player maps. And then we have these islands here. So we have an island with a power generator that needs to be destroyed, so you have to bring some fighting units here, a zealot or a marine. Maybe land some marines with you know, build a marine with Barak. And then you can get rid of that. I assume it's just one, not like many. So a nice addition, I like it. And also it's a very significantly, you know, smaller amounts of minerals and gas here. Sorry, my son is just walking there. I hope he's not naked. Alright, and this is all normal here. Okay, everything is normal, everything's normal, just the island. I'm curious about the reasoning for the... oh, sorry, I just need to check my sound here quickly. Alright, I had to protect my account from some kind of a child abuse situation because you know what it is. You know what it is. So yeah, so I'm not sure about the reasoning behind these minerals. I mean, I think I would like them to be just 1500 and 5000. I mean, island bases are always more difficult to take and more and you know, somewhat difficult to defend. You need to put a lot of static defense stuff. So why not get rewarded by that, right? Why only 6 minerals in gas? I think by doing this base is gonna be, you know, very rarely taken because it's just so little, right? Or maybe it's for Protoss imbalance, right? Just to not allow Protoss to just freely get free mineral bases. I'm not sure. All right, so and then let's have a look here. So each player gets this big high ground as they leave their kind of like natural third base area. But it's a very nice wide ramp. I think it's good. It's a wide one. And then we also have this additional path from a potential fourth base, whatever we call that, where we can kind of avoid a high ground, and we have some attacking options for the size of the map. Of course, that very much depends on the positioning of the players. So, and then very plain, empty middle here. So yeah, maybe a bit too empty. All right. So, verdict. Let's summarize what we can see here. And we of course have freaking Ursadons. Luckily they are locked in. I like that they are locked in. I am not a supporter of Ursadons running around the map and bullying players from expanding and so. I mean, I know it's a cute bear here, look at that picture. But please, map makers, if you really have to make critters, I don't know, make a one here in the middle or maybe some flying ones. Don't put them on freaking expansion locations. Verdict. Let's start with the visuals. Very standard look. Nothing stands out. This is yeah, and a choice. I don't know if I'm particularly keen on snow trees and some bushes around the map. So I think yeah, I'm not. I'll give it a maybe a 6. I think I'll give it a 6. The map is completed. It's fine, but it's not beautiful. I think you guys agree, right? It's not beautiful. It's looking fine, but it doesn't really, you know, make me go like, wow, this is a beautiful map. So I'm gonna give it a 6. As this is a complete map, it serves its purpose, but it definitely is not designed to, you know, be super eye appealing. So we have 6 on the looks. Then the design. I think the design is fine. It's nothing very fresh, but I don't remember actually a map right now just from top of my head where we had this kind of like mineral only third like this, everything low ground, like 3 low ground bases like this, but they're still very exposed. So I think it's a you know, it's a new design, you know, it's nothing creative, right? But it's definitely not just a replica of some kind of a standard map that we've seen many times. It resembles Circuit Breaker a little bit, but not really, right? Not really Circuit Breaker. Plus we have the islands. I like the islands. I think maps with like, you know, maybe 1 or 2 islands like this are fine. Although I think I would just make it normal amount of minerals, maybe. I'm not sure. So I think on the design, I would give it a. I'll give it a 7, just because it's a good design. Nothing exotic, but it's fine. I don't see any major issues neither with terrain. Maybe the center is a little bit too plain, right? It's very empty here, so I think I would like to see something more here. Maybe some kind of a blockage in the middle or something like that. Yeah, I think so. It's missing something a little bit, I guess. As this is already super big exposed high grounds. Basically, all that here is you can run around freely, right? Like yeah. Like a cow in a field, just, you know, without any fence, you can just go here and there. Yeah, so I'm gonna give it a 7 because I feel like it could still be improved. I feel adding more to the map would improve it. So we're gonna give it a 7 in gameplay. I think I'm giving it an 8, just because I think it's a nice standard map. I think it's designed well enough so it can carry different strategies. You can, go, I don't know, normal games, gas games, expansion games. You can do some cheese probably. So I think gameplay is gonna be a did I say 7 or 8? Yeah. I would say an 8, right? So we have 6, 7, 8 with an average score of 7, I think. The map is okay. It looks okay. It doesn't stand out in any way, but I think it could be just a map you could put in a tournament pool and people would play it. It's a simple layout to remember. Yeah, so I will go with 7 here. It's nothing particularly exotic, but yeah. So I'm gonna say map is fine. Maybe some additional ideas could be implemented. Islands should probably have normal values of minerals. I'm not sure exactly what is the idea of limiting this values. Is it just to avoid like Protoss going carrier on islands? So I don't think it matters so much. Maybe some additional input to the center. To the center of the map, as now it is kinda too empty. Alright, so Abyss of Remains getting a strong 7 from us. I don't think it's gonna be my favorite, but I can't say a bad thing about it. Alright, so we have an untitled scenario here, where we need to destroy all enemy buildings, and I'm not sure about the author here, but he did not update the map description. Aiden, where is this? Okay, so we have Mr. Moomoon from Korea, and that will be his only map submission here. So he's coming into the competition with one map. Let's check it out. High score, yeah, but again, I feel it's when you're doing a 4-player map like this, you're safe with an okay-ish map, right? So, it's not like screwed by any means. But again, no, and also remember, we've been checking 2-player maps. I think it's much more difficult to make a good 2-player map, right? Go after Black Lizard. Yeah, relatively high score, but again, it depends on, what you look at, right? Alright, this map kinda looks a bit empty, but it doesn't really... I must have seen this on so many maps, right? It's kind of a center. Alright, so another 4-player map. I can already see just, looking at the layout that we're talking about 4 base setups, right? So we have 4 quarters of 4 base setups and a very big open middle, although this time we have some kind of an idea here where we have a center separated by those kind of like 4 big impassable terrain areas. So that can create some ideas around mutalisks, of course, and you can also maneuver a little bit more with your army, as if you build just a very open center, then it's just a much more kind of like simplistic idea of the game. So we start here with pretty big main. I would say this is a little bit bigger than our previous map. Maybe a little bit too big in my taste, but it's of course doesn't matter. I think it's just I think the mains shouldn't be too big because unless they serve a purpose of that size, right? Like have some additional paths. So maybe a bit too big main in my view here. Then we have a single ramp leading us down to our natural base with 7 plus 9. So again, standard mineral count. Okay, some high ground here behind the mineral line, blocking the vision, but some nice area for static defense. Relatively wide choke, but I think that's normal. And then again, a third base just on the path, right? So this is what we've been talking on one-on-one maps. So you can get out and take that third base. That is an easier third base, I think, than the previous one because there's less unbuildable terrain, although that high ground. But that high ground here, okay, so it is that you can just naturally go up and take additional base as long as you log this ramp. It's gonna be quite difficult to attack from here. I think it's easy to get your army trapped here, right? Because if you move your army here to use that high ground to attack this base, then you can't retreat. If you lose that fight, then opponent just moves his army here and you're trapped. There's no way of leaving that area. All right, so that is so that kind of makes it a bit more easy to take as fourth base, although this is very open. So Quite tough. Okay, so this I like this because this is narrow here and here. I think Zergs can utilize this base pretty easily. So Zergs have an option of either expanding here or to one of the naturals or mains on the map. So I think conceptually that is fine. For Terran this is also okay. For Protoss this is also okay. So the base layout is fine. Again, it's not something particularly new, but it's fine, right? So we have the base layout that is playable from the current meta perspective, and it's a pretty natural expanding pattern that we can see here. We've seen that on many maps before. Other than that, the center here, I mean, there's not much to talk about the map. It's plenty of unbuildable terrain. Let's check it out. Yeah, you can build actually. So there's a lot of strategies that you could run here with different kind of proxies, proxy gateways, double proxy gateways even here. So there are places for everything. It's a good variety of builds possible for sure. Late game wise, do I say any issues late game wise? No, I think it's fine. So yeah, let's do the scoring. There is this map is you know, the 1-on-1 maps we've been looking at were much more complicated. So view of the map, I don't feel it's finished yet. It looks a bit too simple for me, and some of the places are not so great looking in my view. So I would still work a little bit on the looks of the map. It's just also the middle seems a bit rushed, maybe the way how it is. So I think I'm gonna give it a 5 on aesthetics. It's a completed map, so there is definitely nothing wrong with it, but it just doesn't look great. I think you agree, guys, right? It looks very plain, too plain for my taste. I mean, looking at some of the Stample maps like Sylphid and so, or Eclipse, I mean, they look much nicer, I feel like. So it's gonna be a 5 on the looks. Design, again, it's a very simple standard design that's been used many times. Just, you know, some variety on the middle. I don't think this is gonna really impact how the games play out. It's a low ground middle, so again, I think could be some, actually, yeah, I think there could be some ideas added here maybe. Well, there's the high grounds here, so that's fine. Actually, I like it. I think it's fine. Of course, it will be down to players and individual strategies. I'm gonna give it a 6 on the design. Yeah, so we have 5 and 6, and I will give again, gameplay is probably gonna be an 8, just because it's a standard map. So we have 5, 6, and 8. So a score of 6.5 for this map is what I think. 7, 6.5. Again, it's nothing revolutionary. It's nothing special. It's just a very standard map, but it definitely could get some more work, I feel like. Very standard map, so let's go with 6.5 this time. So 6.5. Additional dots could work. Something to make the map look more appealing. Mains are a bit too big for no reason, right? They are just huge, but no race needs that much space, and I think maybe something on the map could just benefit from having that space rather than just having a big empty space. Mains are a bit too big. Maybe some ideas around map center could be implemented, but it's not. It would change the map. It wouldn't necessarily make it better. I just feel like the map is very, very standard, so I'm gonna give it a 6.5 on Aiden, something like that. Yep. Oh, it was not high ground. Okay, then it's weird if it wasn't high ground there. So yeah. Minerals, welcome again to the chat. I was asking Taro Adun Backjonk. Minerals, is this the updated version of the map we skipped yesterday? So we have, was it Trinity 0.9? Is that the version we're interested in checking out? You think about it and let me know after this. Okay, another map. Augustgrad, alright. Created by Cookie Master from Team Num. And the channel for these people is OP Num. on US West. So we have a space one here, 4-player map version 5.0. Okay, so that map has been played in I think North America Star League, right? NSL, something like this. Let's check it out. So Mr. Cookie Master, let's see where we have him. Just checking on the list here. Cookie Master from Canada. All right, so this is his only submission, a 4-player map. Let's see what he brings to the world of map making. So again, 4-player maps, I think we can just be moving a little bit quicker because they require a bit less analysis due to, you know, just need to analyze a quarter of it and then you kind of, you know, see the pattern, right? All right, so okay, I was thinking this was a low ground base, but we actually get this bit of high ground here. Okay, so we have a normal sized main, that's fine, I like it. I think this looks good. Corner bases safe, so that's fine. Natural base is also safe with the mineral line, you know, towards the edge of the map, much less exposed than if it's like this. So a very safe 2-base play here. You don't get, you know, too much risks from this. So far looks nice and tidy. This is yeah, this is fine. I mean, it's a little bit, yeah, this is actually a little bit tough because as Terran, of course, well, I guess you can do something like this. That's fine. It's okay. This looks fine. It's not too exposed. So nice setup here. Then what we have here, we move out and we have this. Everything is buildable, so just be careful with that. As okay, this is not everything. Most of the stuff is buildable. This tends to give Terran some strong timing pushes against Protoss. If you do a lot of buildable terrain like this is very much favoring Terran. So of course, me as Terran player, I'm very happy. If you want to weaker the Terran on the map, then make a lot of unbuildable terrain, and unbuildable terrain is great for Terran. Again, we have this 6 minerals 3rd base. Relatively easy to take because again, you can do this. It's a little bit exposed though for many races. But let's see. Okay, so then we have the 3rd base, and then there is no obvious 4th base. We can either go bottom here. So we have those 4 4th bases. They are all on the 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions, but they're not easy accessible. They have plenty of area from both sides. They can be very easily attacked from each side. They're low ground bases, so something that will play a role in the later stages of the game. So map kind of limiting the option of going 4 base for, like, you know, Protoss as PvZ. Well, it can take that, but Terran TVP is not so easy. ZVP, I think it's okay. This is a little bit exposed, but it's fine. And then Zerg can take a 4th base here because they will do it on units. So I think the layout is fine. I don't see any particular problems with the bases. On top of that, we get freaking Ursadons on every single base. Please don't do it. I just don't see a benefit of doing this, guys. It's just annoying for players. Don't make maps that have to be annoying for players. It's just wrong habit. It doesn't bring anything to the game. People are just getting more frustrated. Don't try to be super fancy because you've seen it on some other maps. I mean, if you really have to make one Ursadon in the middle of nowhere and hope that it's not going to get to an expansion to be annoying. So we have this double kind of like central base. Very much you could look at it as one base. I mean, most races will be able to hold it just by one army, kind of like holding both. So I think it's unless it's overpowered, I don't think it is, but I mean it could be a little bit overpowered in the sense that the race that actually gets. No, is it over? No, I don't. TV Protoss can't take this. Terran really. Well, Terran could take it late game TVP for sure. So that could be great. That could actually be a 4th base for Terran. But on the other hand, there are still plenty of bases, so probably not a biggest issue. Although this is high ground bases, so they will be a little bit easier to hold here. I mean, this. I don't know. I don't know. This would have to. We would have to see how it plays out if it's not too much. For some situations on this map, like in late game. Although it could be that it's just fight for a center, and that's also, I think, a fine map design, right? If we build a map that is very much focused about late game, that is about who's gonna control the center, and for that get those huge economical boosts. As again, the 4th, 5th bases are not so simple on this map. Okay, we have some NSL letters here, so I bet this is from the league. Huh. What do you guys think of this map? What do we think about this map, guys? All right, so how it looks like, I think it looks good. I think this is you know, places like this, they're well pit. I mean, everything fits together nicely, right? It's maybe a bit lot, but again, space platform, I think not the easiest tile set to make good looking maps specifically. So I also, you know, when I see something that just looks fine, I believe it deserves a higher score than, for example, Jungle, which in my view is very easy to make look good. So I think aesthetics, I would give it a 7. I think 7 is a fair one. Maybe even 7.5. Let's do 7.5 on the how it looks like. It's not like, you know, wow, but it looks good. I think it's simple and clean, and everything is fine here. So 7.5 on aesthetics. Design, I like the design. I think it's a good one. I mean, it has got some good thinking into it. The third base, kind of accessible along with the high ground. Then you have the dilemma of which base you can take, but you can still take the third base. So, you know, Zerg in CVP and Protoss and Terran can take this third base relatively fast if they want to go for more macro build. Attacking path seems to be okay. There is a bit of high ground for some tactical play. You know, you can kind of hold your army here. But it's not too much to be annoying. I think it's fine. I like the design. It's okay. I'm gonna give it an 8 to design. So it's gonna have 7.5 and an 8. Gameplay, I think very much standard. So I'll go with 8 too. So standard map, a little bit better than the previous ones in my view. I like the concept of middle. I think it can create some interesting games. Not something that's been so much tested to have so much equity on high ground in the middle. I feel like these bases can be really strong, right? The idea for Terran could be like, for TVP, for example, take 3 bases and then just move and take additional 2 bases here and just control everything from middle. Same for PVZ. Protoss just taking a big army and then just taking middle and just controlling the middle with so many minerals and gas, right? So it's a bit of a different idea, but I think it would have to be tested a bit more. But I like it. So 7.5, 7.5, 8 and 8. So yeah, I would give it. I would stick with 7.5 for the map, which is a good. I mean, I want to make sure that if you guys feel 7.5 from my mouth is very good. So that's the idea that I want to put here. You know, so 10 for me would be either something that is extremely beautiful and with some interesting ideas around, you know, gameplay that will support what is kind of played in the meta game, or you know, or some kind of a small adjustment needed to the meta game, and you know, really well designed with some interesting features. Something like this would be a 10 for me, right? I just don't want to give a 10 to a map that is. It's all clean and well made, but it's a very standard, similar map to what we've seen before, right? So 7.5 again is because the map is very standard, but I give it you know, an extra half because I think it's really well made. So I'm gonna write comments. Maps is fine. The double center expansion might be imbalanced in some late game situations, etc. TVP or PVZ especially. I think especially Terran and Protoss will be able to maybe utilize that base to you know, a really hardcore degree in these matchups. Did I have any other comments to this? No, I think it was okay. I think it was fine. So I'll just map is fine. I would say very standard. Yeah, that's what it's gonna be. Alright, Koget, can you give an example of a 10-10 non-contest map in your opinion? You mean an existing map or something what I would think about? Hard map for Zerg in your opinion? I think it was okay. I think it was okay. I don't think particularly hard. So Ox, if I were to give a 10, I mean, so I think in the map context perspective, it's a little bit different because obviously you can't just make, you know, a fighting spirit map and call it something else and make it look very nice and then expect a 10, because this has already been done, right? So I think it's important in a contest context that the map brings at least something fresh, and doesn't mean that you have to make it super complicated, but maybe it's a standard setup with a tweak, right? Or maybe it's or maybe it's a very new fresh idea, but it can be very easily adapted by players, right? So the map is not challenging really to get into, but it has got some kind of a unique features, plus being very beautifully done. I think it's important that the aesthetics of the map are on at a high level. Plus, the design is just interesting. So an interesting design is, for me, a map that at the same time allows a variety of strategies. So, you can have positional play on macro wing, but you can also be cheesy. You can be aggressive, but it also, some positions can be very defensive. So it gives players different ways of developing the game, right? But at the same time, bring something new maybe to the map, right? Do something that we haven't seen so far so much. So yeah, that's just my opinion. So a standard 4-player map could get a 10 from me if it would be extremely beautifully done. It will be standard enough for carrying the normal gameplay, but it will still add some feature or something that could even further enhance the metagame because how the map plays out. This would be the ideas, right? FS 10 out of 10. I mean, judging by its history of success, it should deserve it. But if I get fighting spirit in that context, I would probably give it like an 8, right? You get a point. All right. Bridging the gap. Let's check it out. Sorry, who's the author here? So, which bridge to cross and which to burn. Okay, so there's some already some strategic ideas here how we can use the map. Version 0.81 created by Freaklink and STY Laseruk X. Okay, so we're gonna have another map from a duo of players, including Freaklink here, duo map makers. Bridging the gap. Let's see here. So is that map under you, Freaklink, or? Yes, it is. So we have Bridging the Map here, and we also have a couple more. So it's the first map that is officially linked to your name here. We had another one, but I don't remember. What was the other one? That was Tundra, right? We didn't score Tundra last time. God, I didn't make notes on Tundra. Can you guys recap what was my scores on Tundra? I haven't noted down. I remember I really liked the look of it, and then I said that some adjustments. So very beautiful. Some adjustments to the basis layout, I remember, and natural, right? And natural expansions. Too wide, too hard to hold. Plus some additional additions to map center. It was just plain nice, very open center, right? I think that was 10, and the score I remember was a 10 on looks. I think I gave it overall like a 7 or a 7.5. 7, right? I think 7 it was, right? So let's just do this here. Right, okay. And now we have Freaklink with Bridging the Gap. So let's not wait anymore. Let's close those and check it out. So another difficult tile set in my view to make a really nice looking map. The whole ashland, lava. So let's see how Freaklink has unleashed his creativity into this. A lot of craters here, I like it. I think this looks fine. Alright, so we have a nice main, very nice. This is a kind of like the size of main, which I believe is the best for StarCraft. And again, I'm not saying copy it for every map, but I think it's just enough. It gives some secure area, it gives some building area. It's just fine. This is fine. And then we have a natural, so we have a standard 9 plus 7, standard mineral setup, and a very good looking mineral. I really like it. You can already see the terrain here, right? Many people ask me when I say, oh, the map is a little bit too plain. I mean, look how nice this natural base looks like. All these rocks are not just normal terrain. All those rocks were manually added here to make it look nicely, like like a rocky natural build. So I very much admire those kind of things. I think Freaklink has so far showed that when it comes down to dot ads, to the aesthetics of the map, he really shines in that kind of criteria, right? So I already see that here. Okay, just looking at the map. So again, we have a bit of a so we have like 3 bases per player. So we have the base, and then we have the mineral only here, and then we have basically 4 bases on 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock. So that's how the map is built. So from here you kind of you need to pick one of the bases if you want to expand. You either go yeah, to this top base. Okay, so the top base has got some bridges. No, all base. Okay, so all bases has got a bridge. Ah, nice. I like this. Ah, this is very nice. I like the bridge here. So it's not a ramp, it's a bridge. And then we have a ramp here. Interesting. So yeah, this is the kind of ideas I really like. And again, this bridge, look at the creativity. I mean, how do you make this look like a bridge? You add freaking some kind of a gate entrance donuts that actually act as pillars of that bridge. And there you go, it looks like a bridge, right? Even though it has got nothing to do with a bridge. But we get that beautiful visual illusion that actually it is a bridge. And then through, you know, some random lines here, it actually feels like it's a real bridge. So beautiful work on building that from, you know, some random components to actually make it feel like it's a real bridge. Good stuff. Okay, so, and then we have this big high ground basically, but it's very constrained because you have those big high grounds here that you can access through 3 different ramps. I like it. I like when it's a bit more than, you know, if you make just 2 ramps, even one ramp, then you expose yourself to a lot of different positional plays like contains and stuff. So it's good that we have a lot of exits here, but then we have a lot of exits here, and then we go into this middle with bridges around it. So so it also, you know, kind of like allows some maneuvering without getting caught so easily. But I think these are decent sizes, and there's not high ground, so also moving your army in the middle will be easier. Some additional vision blockers here. Let's see how it works. Like, so they're a bit random. I'm not sure I fully understand. Yeah, so these are a bit random. The vision blockers are a little bit random because you can see here we have a circle, here we have a circle, but on this side we don't have a circle. We have a bit of like a you have some kind of a little forest coming out from this horn here, and I guess it's gonna be similar here. So I think it's fine. You know, some asymmetry is fine like this. I don't think I would call it a feature rather than you know like a disadvantage that, you know, it's not 100% symmetrical. It doesn't have to be 100% symmetrical. It's a 4-player map. Anyway, you will get some asymmetry from how you know players position against each other. So yeah, small comment here. The third base, I feel again is maybe a little bit too exposed, and also how Zergs is gonna expand here could be a little bit of a challenge for Zergs. I feel this is fine. Maybe okay, yeah, okay, yeah. So first things first. The map looks absolutely brilliant. This is the thing where I really admire map making. It's, you know, where it matters, it has got the donuts. This kind of like mosaic theme from the rocks looks very good. This natural bases look very good. The main base with all the holes, craters from, it looks very good. The bridges look very good. I think this map looks brilliant. I give it a 9 on the looks. Maybe even I think I don't know if it can really be better. You can add more, but adding more doesn't necessarily mean I could even give it a 10. I just really like how Freakley makes maps. So maybe I'm biased, but I think it looks really clean, and it just has got enough details to make it interesting terrain. It's an interesting terrain you walk around, but it's not too many to make it confusing or, you know, kind of like tiring for your eyes. So I think this map looks really beautiful. And also some creative concepts on building the bridges. So I could even give it a 10 on the looks, to be honest, because how much more you can really do, especially on that tile set, which is, again, in my view, quite difficult to handle. So 9-10 on the aesthetics for sure. Design, I can only see 2 possible improvement ideas. Again, I feel this third base is a bit too hard, especially because 4th or 5th base is very difficult to hold, okay? So because you make all the bases difficult, both the 3rd base and the additional bases, then it kind of makes it a very 2-base kind of like play. It's not the end of the world. I think it's okay, but it can create some challenges. For PvZ, it's tough, right? As Protoss versus Zerg, where do you expand? It's hard to expand here with these ramps. It's hard to take this base for just 6 mirrors. So I think unless we really make it a two base map, and if you make it a 2-base map, make sure that that the map is not, you know, kind of like giving any abusable positions or, you know, yeah, I think the map is fine for 2-base because it's a lot of paths you can maneuver around. So Yeah, I think it's okay, but I would still consider maybe making this third base. Either this third base should be easier, or one of these bases should be easier. So maybe this base could be just smaller, right? If you cut a little bit of the space from that base so it's smaller, then it's easier to hold it. But you know, the bigger you make this base, the more difficult it is to hold. So oh, we're eliminated. All right. So aesthetics. Yeah, I think it's a 9 or a 10. Design, I think it's a good design. I like it. I'm gonna give it an 8, and I think it can be a 9 if there is some small fixes. Oh my god, sorry, it's just I thought my power went off and it just the screen went blank because the game finished. So I'm gonna give it an 8 on the design, and there's possible small improvements around the mineral bases. Either make a third base easier or fourth base easier. So leave the third base as it is, but make others easier. So something like this, so you can choose as a player, right? So you can choose to go 2 base, or you can choose to slowly take a third base, or you can choose to go like on Polypoid, right? Polypoid is a good example. Think about Polypoid. You can take the high ground base, which is mineral only, but you can also take the gas base. You can take one or another depending on the position. So Polypoid is such a cool map, and it sees so much play because players get a choice. They can go 2 base all the way, they can go fast third base mineral, or they can take fast third gas base, or they can double expand. It's just so many opportunities, right? So I think for 4-player maps, it's important that the map gives players some opportunities. Hey Jonek, we're looking at the map contest, which is plenty of new maps, and we're trying to evaluate them and give some feedback to the map makers, and also find some cool maps that we can be playing later. Yeah, so yeah, it's a polypoid layout, but it is a much harder third base to defend, because third base is not gonna be holding your natural so much, and fourth base is much harder than on polypoid because it's further away, right? So, but you get a point, freaking, right? I think this. So I would give it yeah, let's give it a 9.5 on the looks. Let's give it an 8 on the design with possibility to be 9, I think. And on gameplay, I think I'm gonna give it an 8. Just because it's pretty plain, which is not bad. I think it's good, but yeah, I'll give it an 8 there. So we have 8 and 9.5. So we have 20. What is it? 27.5 divided by 3. So we have a So it's a 8.5 map. 8.5 map. Let's do 8.5. I think 8.5. So I know I messed up the scores, but my final call is 8.5 on this map. I really like it. I think it was very nice. Very nice and beautiful map. Possibly small adjustments to third min only, 2 exposed, or 4th, 5th base should be a little bit safer, easier to take, to allow players to choose more flexibly if they want to play 2 or 3 or 4 base styles, depending on matchups and so on and so. But you get the point, right? I'm not talking about make it super safe like on Turbine, where you get 4 bases just because you get them, but a little bit easier. So yeah. All right. Thanks for the follow, Megador. And Quicks with a raid party of 28. Welcome to all the viewers from STPL. Thank you very much, sir. We are doing something different here. We're doing the map analysis for the New World Maps contest, guys. So this is the idea here. All right. Yeah, it should be a 9, but it's gonna be a 9 if you fix a little bit on the bases. And again, I'm not the one to score you guys, but these are my subjective opinions. All right, moving on. We have Carver 0.4, so pretty low version number. Hemsk, I think we've seen Hemsk before, right? Didn't we? Let's check him out here. Hemsk, where are you, bro? Hemsk, yeah, we checked his, Vertebrae, which only got 4.5. So, yeah, so we've had a lot of We had a lot of comments to that map. So it's the second map of him. The previous one was a 2-player map, and again, I feel 2 players map by principle much more difficult to make a good 2-player map. It's probably easier to make a good 4-player map or a decent 4-player map. So our friend from Sweden here, let's see what he brings to the table this time. Alrighty, so again, wow, this is okay. So it's an interesting layout. So again, we have those pools of 4 expansions per player, but they seem to be really spread around in a. So it's like a free base. Yeah, so everyone gets like free bases. Okay, I get it. So everyone gets like free bases. Free bases with the natural of 6 minerals again. And then there are those 4 bases, but they're really far away and they're kind of like shared between both players. So it seems like both players will have a very comparable distance to those 4 bases, although it should be, okay, so it's like 4 bases like this. Okay, got it. So it's like 4 bases in line. This is what is given to a player as their zone, you could say, as their initial area. So it's an interesting symmetry here. Okay, anyway. So we have a nice main base, so okay, minerals a little bit pushed ahead and a big area behind that can be used for adding additional buildings for Protoss and for Terran. I like this main setup. It's a big main, but again, it's kind of split into 2 parts here. And again, you pretty much have to hold one side because natural will cover the other side. So that is fine. From a mineral perspective, this is all okay, although there's some small, like you can see here, there's a bit of a high ground behind it. It can make a difference. Mutas can fly in here and harass you, while in here there's no high ground. So these are small balance fixes I would take into consideration. Seems like this is a more exposed mineral line for no reason, right? So small adjustments. Oh my goodness, again.
Thanks for reviewing more maps.
Ox with 5 bucks donation. My pleasure. I have said I will do it, so yeah, it's of course extremely nice of you and kind to support the streamer. Thank you very much for the $5 donation. Alright, so we take this, we have this X here. Doesn't really play that big of a role, but it's fine. I guess you can put us, yeah, it's fine. Then we have this naturals here. This is all okay. I think this is fine. This is neither too exposed. This is a from game, you know, kind of like way how the games goes and the balance. I think this is all okay. All right, then what is the plan there? So then we have this unbuildable terrain again. Plenty of unbuildable terrain, which I don't think can be in any ways utilized. No, it's completely completely locked from any possibilities of building stuff. And then this 3rd base that is again very exposed. So so for me again, this is already a 2 base map, right? I mean, so Protoss players will be very slow to take additional bases. Also here, if you take this base as Protoss, okay, you can actually wall this. Pretty simple. I don't know about this though. So there are some, okay, there are some like pylons here, so you can even see some graphics for pylons, I guess. There's Terran 3 depots required. Yeah, so the 3rd base a bit useless, I think, right? So that's something that could be looked into. Again, maybe maybe you don't need a 3rd base, right? I don't know. But Zerg is not gonna take that, Zerg is gonna take that, and Terran is not gonna take that. No one is gonna be wanting to take these bases. A little bit too exposed in my view to really come into play in a reasonable way. And also free paths leading to this base, so it's very, very exposed and harassable, kind of like. One could say you can take this base and take this base. That, of course, would be an ideal scenario, but I still believe this is very hard. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay. But yeah, it is what it is. It's quite hard. Right, then we have this big center, very open. In fact, the only blockers of movement are those small lakes around it. Other than that, you can pretty much roll around freely, uncontested by any terrain or Ursadons here trying to block you from moving around and attack your opponent. You can always avoid the center and just go for those natural only from that side of the lake. So there is some maneuvering possibilities. Oh, is this what I think it is? Let's check it out. Is that no? Can you land there? Let's see. So a bit more. So I think if it is the case, I think it's actually nice. But hold on, where did I see this? So this is. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's just that base that is so exposed. Interesting. Right. What about this? So these are cool features. I'm actually really curious about those. You don't get that here. Not here. Not here. Can you land here? No, okay. Alright, I can't land here. That would be so sweet if this was a landing spot for harassment. Alright, yeah, so no real places for harassment here, seems like. Yeah, this is all unbuildable, and also here, I guess. No, alright, fine, that's good. No, I mean, it would be okay if you had some harassment opportunities, of course. It's just it's a choice, right? But it's okay if it's not there. Alright, so the looks of the map, I'm gonna give it a. I think I'm gonna give it a 6.5 from the looks. I think it's a little bit too messy. I mean, the dots in many places, they don't really fit exactly. It's a complete map, but I don't feel like, you know, when we looked at some of the Freaking maps so far, they've been really precise on every single, you know, square of the terrain and so yeah, let's give it a 7 maybe. I think it's a completed map. It has got some cool places, but I think it could definitely be further improved. And again, it's jungle, as I was talking about, and jungle, I feel like if you just make jungle, it just looks good. And also this kind of stuff, I'm not sure. It's a choice, but I'm not. Yeah, 6.5 on the looks. It's jungle, it's fine, but I mean, comparing to some of the other maps, it doesn't look so nice. So 6.5 there. I like the layout. I think most of it is fine. Maybe the 4th bases are just a bit useless in the way how they're built now. And again, it's a choice. I'm not saying it can't be like this. But I think they will not see so much play as Autor would intend them to have, and yeah, it's definitely on the tough side for expanding in micro games. It will be probably more on the just build up an army. Also, there are no real good harassment opportunities here because the bases are safe, main and natural. So you have a safe main and natural from harassment, plus it's difficult to take 3rd bases, so you'll have a lot of 2-base plays, and you know, just ZVP is gonna be Mass Hydra, I'm not gonna give you a 3rd, TVP is gonna be 2-base timings, PVT is gonna be like 2-base arbiter play, and then slowly expand, so this kind of stuff, right? So I would say the design I think is fine, but it's nothing fancy, so I'm gonna give it a 7. And the gameplay, I'm gonna give it a 7 too, so I'm gonna give the map a 7. And again, it could be that, yeah, so maps looks could be improved. Some adjustments for 3rd mineral only, maybe, as it is impossible to take. Map will likely play out as a 2-player map with building timing, as it is very difficult to harass main natural and very difficult to take additional bases. That's my opinion here. Yeah, I gave 4.5 the other map there, but I think this is yeah, he's one of our newcomer map makers, still running the blending. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's the can't take 3rd on every map. No, we had plenty of maps with super easy 3rd bases to be taken. Oh, you're talking, okay, yeah, most of the maps have had some, and again, it's fine if a third base is hard to take, but make it rewarding maybe, right? Like, if you make a third base that is very hard to take, then at least make it rewarding, right? If you make a third base that has got 6 minerals, and it's super exposed, then no one's gonna bother, right? The risk of taking it and losing it is much higher than actually the benefit you're gonna get out of it. All right, cellular automation. So we have another freaking map, version 0.00. Mr. Frickling, that map shouldn't then exist if it's at version 0.0. So another attempt at Ashworld. So very difficult tile set yet again. Let's check it out if we have it here on the list. Frickling, cellular automation. I see that here. Let's see what we have. Okay, so first look at the symmetry, the design. So, well, this map doesn't look to be too finished, to be honest. That's my initial observation. It looks super plain and super incomplete. Plenty of open spaces. Also, there are like lava holes all over it, making this interesting kind of like symmetrical pattern for the whole map. There is a big like octopus with some tentacles, just 4 of them in the middle floating here. That makes the high ground. And then we have a standard 9 plus 7 minerals natural. Natural is a little bit big, and yeah, I think it's possible to take, but it's hard. It's a little bit hard to take, but it's fine. I just think this map is incomplete, right? Third base, probably not so bad, because again, at least you get a gas, so it is a very exposed base. Probably too hard to take, so something extra would be nice here. Also, this base is definitely too hard to take, so yeah. Alright, I'm gonna be very quick on this map, because I already see what is happening here, obviously, and so on. So, by the way, I don't like those gases that are, of course, intended to not give you. It's also 3k gases, but they're you need 4 workers to mine them, right? Because okay, all the gases are 3k, 4k here, so there's some kind of a gas deficit on the map, which is gonna favor Protoss versus Terran, which is gonna favor Zerg versus Protoss, which is gonna favor Terran versus Zerg. So by doing those kind of smaller gases on first 2 bases, you in fact improve the situation of already theoretically stronger race on the map. Just bear that in mind. That usually it's the weakest race of the matchup, right? So Terran versus Protoss, Zerg versus Terran, and Protoss versus Zerg. So the first ones would have it weaker. So I'm not sure I'm a fan of making the natural gas at 4k, and also the additional gases. So anyway, the map is incomplete. So I'm gonna give it a 4 on the looks, maybe a 3 on looks so far. The design is a lot has to be done still. It's all low ground bases. It's definitely, you can't, like, these 2 bases. One of these bases either have to be like a high ground base or something that allows Zergs at least to take it quicker, and Protoss to take their third base. Yeah, so I think on the design, then what we have, yeah, and here is like empty terrain between bases everywhere. So these bases are, like 1 base in reality. So design so far is gonna be a 4, aesthetics gonna be a 3, and gameplay I think at this point is a 4, so 3.5 for this map so far. It requires a lot of work still. So maps in initial stages of development. No nice add-ons, very plain. A lot of work needed for 3rd and 4th bases, as now they're just placed in the middle of nowhere, to make them yeah. I'm not gonna even write what. It's too early of a stage. I think there has to be some kind of a formal way of how they look like. So it's gonna be a 4 so far. I'm gonna give it a 4 to that map, just because it's not completed. Not because I don't like it. It's just because it's not completed. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I found also the Tundra here. I actually had Tundra noted. I had it noted under Fricklink. So That's it on the map. I hope you're not mad, Freaklink. No, but Freaklink, on the gas deficit, you have to understand one thing. Just because you make 100 gases on the map and 1000 of gas each, doesn't mean it's the same of making 5 gases and each of them having 10k, right? When you think about it, the weaker race in every matchup, weaker, of course, it's a debatable statement. It requires to be on 2 base longer and win by tech, right? So Terran versus Protoss needs to win by tech, by upgrading. Protoss versus Zerg often needs to win by tech, more Templar, more upgrades, and so like this, right? And if you cut the gas there, it doesn't mean that you get 5 more gases, because they will never get those gases, right? That's the idea here. So I don't think it should be equivalent in that sense, right? Yeah, the race playing for a base deficit, and this race usually requires more gas, right? So that's what it is. No, it's not just Terrans, which I speak for ZVT also, right? So Zerg needs that versus Terran too, right? Same idea here. Yep. All right. Flying Battery. Mr. Zombie again. We had one zombie map again. Okay, looks like a nice and really a lot is happening on that map. Let me just here quickly see that. What is the name of the map? Flying Battery, right? Let's see. So this is Mr. Korea again. So it's a second submission. Previously was the Abyss of Remains. We checked that earlier today with a 7. So let's see that one now. So I can already see that this is going to be a little bit of a different map than what we have seen so far. All right. So again, we see that. Oh my god, this map is gonna be crazy. Okay, so first of all, this map is not even trying to hide the fact that you can only take 2 bases on it. You can only have 2 bases on this map unless you go 200 to 100 and then you try to slowly take a 3rd base, at least TVP. So extremely difficult 3rd, 4th base for most races. Very spacious big mains here with a lot of building area, kind of like in the back that is nicely covered by natural, and then this kind of like interesting, it's not so big actually, but it's just the way how it looks like makes it like, this looks like Africa. So you have small Africa here. It's like 4 Africas turned different sides here. Alright, so we have a low ground exit here, interesting, not a high ground exit. So some rushing opportunities here definitely. And then we have a natural here, which is okay, this mineral is probably gonna be very annoying for... Okay, all of those are like this, so... No, all of them? Yeah, all of them. No, this one is a little bit less. Right, some weird minerals that will only allow you to get in here. So, this is annoying from the gameplay perspective. If you start and build a turret here, your SCV get locked. If you build a turret here, your SCV get locked, right? So, I wouldn't do it like this. I would just move this mineral. Just let maybe run around. It also makes the... Actually, well, what it does, though, is it makes the natural a bit safer, probably, right? But it is still a very exposed natural base. A very exposed natural base, right? So... something to take. So then actually I like it. Okay, so if then it makes sense that these minerals are not allowing to go behind the minerals, because the base is already so exposed that at least you take off a path from like units like Zerglings running in, and so there is a way of holding this. So a nice compromise, I think, between locking the mineral line, a bit annoying maybe for building stuff, but it's giving some security. And then from here we go into that super distant 3rd base or natural again. We've seen that before. So the theory here is that you go 2 base and you fight and you fight and you fight, and when you're close to starvation, you move and you take 2 bases at the same time, right? That's the big idea here, of course. And pretty much you're forced to take those, right? Those are even further away, so even more difficult to take. Yeah, all that is unbuildable also. Wow. Okay, and sits center of the map, very open, but there are some bridges, so there is technically some terrain to create some positions at least, so it's not, just I'm gonna flank you and smash you. There is some terrain that has to be respected in skirmishes. on the middle of a map. It's important that there is something. I think if it's just flat like Python, it takes out something from the game. Alright, what is there? Ursadons hiding in the bush. Okay, again, we have Ursadons. We had them in the previous map, but they are stuck. They can't move. So we're not gonna deduct points for those as well. Alright. Yeah, okay. So, let's summarize this. So, how the map looks like? I think it looks fine. I'm not the biggest fan of how it looks like, to be honest. There are some cool ideas. But overall, it's not like a beautiful map, I would say. I'm gonna give it a 7. On the aesthetics part, it's a completed map. So, you know, it took some time. But this kind of stuff, personally, I don't like. I don't think it looks nice. So, maybe even a 6.5. Let's give it a 7 because it's a complete map. But, no, 6.5. It's 6.5 on the looks. The design... I mean, I think... personally, I don't think it's a good idea of making so far away third bases. I understand why you're doing this. You get a specific way of playing the map, but these maps are never popular long term because they only allow you to play this one style, right? You can't, like on let's take Fighting Spirit on Polypoid. I can play 2 base if I scout or I react. I can play 3 base. I can play 4 base. You know, depending on how the game is, your style, your opponent, what your opponent plays, you have plenty of ways of adjusting to that, right? On a map like this, you're pretty much forced. You're going 2 base, that's it. You're going 2 base, there's no choice. So gameplay, I'm gonna give it a 6 on the gameplay, to be honest. And design, I think the design is interesting. It's a very long rush distances, looks like very long rush distance and so like this. I'm gonna give it a 7 on design. So we're gonna have a 6.5 and 6 and 6.5 is gonna be my final score on Flying Battery. 6.5. I'm gonna write impossible to take bases, making this a 2 base map in 95% of scenarios. I like how the main looks like, and yeah, and the natural, but I mean the rest of the map is I think the initial parts of the map looked very great, but the further I go, the less I like it. So I'm gonna write main and natural layout is nice, but the further we go, the more random, less eye appealing, less interesting it looks like, right? So kind of like these are the main concepts for me here on that one. Yeah, I like the main and natural. I think as soon as we leave that area, I like it less. This is kind of like my view on this map. Right, Shema Karolo, Shema. All right, let's move on here. Gold Treasure. So we have third map with Mr. Zombie. Gold Treasure 0.8. Main position minerals is okay. Oh, all right. Let's check it out. So we have Optimizer version 2.0. So we have Gold Treasure because we have a rich map. I'm actually very curious about this. I like maps like this, at least from you know, I like when... Oh my bloody hell, what is happening here? What am I missing? Ion cannons, warp gates that needs to be destroyed, right? So you need to destroy your stuff and then you get some additional minerals. Okay, so this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 minerals here. And then you also get a second gas with a Protoss Temple. So okay, so the idea of the map is that you can pretty much play 2 base, but it's like having a 3 base with 3 gases for a limited amount of time, right? So realistically, this doesn't matter. You should be able to kill it with ease with some initial fighting units, especially if you go for a macro plan. Okay, then we have the third base, also with additional minerals if you clear those, and a limited gas income, so we can go 4 base even, and this third base is relatively easy to be taken. This reminds me a little bit of like Overwatch, but on Overwatch there is a lot of unbuildable terrain, so and also a second round. So this is an easy, right? This is actually a pretty easy space to take and to defend as just a single map. Okay, so initially, just judging from the layout of these three bases, we have kind of like turbine situation to 0. Extreme grid is great here, and that's what one should definitely consider. It's going to be the map a bit like Optimizer, but Optimizer has got less grid than this, right? Because it only gives you extra gas and some extra minerals for short term. So this is way more than Optimizer, and also third base. So an extremely greedy free base map where you can be really go ballistic with timings and macro play, really big macro play. Okay, some interesting harassment capabilities here. You can also go up. You can go up here. That cannot be turreted or cannoned or anything. So that's pretty nice. I like this. I think it's interesting on a map where you allow super much greed. You actually also allow some additional harassment to be able to fight that economy, right? So you don't necessarily have to go for a race with your opponent who's gonna grow faster, but there are also some opportunities when you can, do damage to your opponent. Because if you don't do it, then players can just grow infinitely, right? And then you get up to huge tech and huge upgrades and who wins with an army. So it's a similar concept to Optimizer. On Optimizer we have the same idea, right? That a lot of bases you can harass very easily, but you also get a lot of minerals. So though this is much more this is much richer than Optimizer. The maze, in fact, okay, this looks all far normal. So then what do we have? We also have this big high ground here, but you can also go low ground or high ground. So there's no real way of killing. What is this? Oh my god, there are so many things we need to check about this map, guys. Is this a wall? This looks like a wall, so you can't pass, so that makes it even more defendable. So this high ground is pretty much only for the attacking player, not so much for the defending. For the... No, it's for the player that wants to move out, what I mean, right? Because you can't easily exit here. Alright, so what is this? This is just a wall, right? Okay. So this is just the wall, and there's a small path here. So, alright, so it's a super strong defendable position that you can build here. Maybe even too much for my taste. You can also build turrets and stuff here. And then also we have islands. So similar to Optimizer, exactly like on Optimizer, we have those two bases. But on Optimizer, you could walk in here with a probe and take it. Here it's an actual island with 2000 on gas and the power generator blocker, which makes it, which I'm not sure I like so much, because this is gonna be great for Protoss, pretty much. And I think all these kind of greedy maps are usually pretty okay for Protoss, because Protoss is mining quickly and building quickly, so they can outgrow other races quicker. Alright, and then we have this plain big center, so kind of like fight me situation. Yeah. Okay. So, verdict. Aesthetics, I'm gonna give it a 5, because it just doesn't look good. I mean, I understand what it is, but it just doesn't look good. Come on, I mean, you can't put freaking iron cannons and rocks like this. You have to achieve this by doing this, at least looking nicely, right? So this is definitely something that should be fixed. I mean, this is just too much. This looks horrible. The map is very plain other than that. So I'm gonna give it a 5 on the aesthetic. It's a complete map, so you know I don't want to criticize it, but I don't like how most of that looks like, to be honest. It just doesn't look so good. So it's a 5 on this. On the design, I'm gonna give it a 7 on the design, but it's because it has potential. I like the harassment opportunities here. Maybe we should also give some harassment opportunities here on that base. I like the idea, but there is a lot to be fixed, okay? It's plenty to be fixed. So it's a 7, which is just to compensate for a good idea, but it's not fully properly executed in my view. This should be removed. This is annoying and it makes no sense. Why would you do it? Like, why would you make this even more secure and even more like think about TVT. In TVT, whoever puts tanks in the middle, like whoever controls, you know, like, let's say it's cross-position TVT. I put my tanks here, and I put 2 tanks here. Map is locked. With 7 tanks in TVT, you lock the map. It's kind of like this idea. I mean, it's just too much, right? Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 7 because I like the ideas, okay? But they are not executed well. So we have 5 for aesthetic, 7 as gameplay. Gameplay, I'm gonna put it to 5 at this point. The islands are not really thought through. The free base grid is probably too much. It makes no sense to make so much grid. This is like basically what? It's like 5 bases you take out of this 3 bases quickly. So I'm gonna give it a, yeah, so it's gonna be a 5 and 5 and 7. So we're gonna, 17 divided by, it's gonna be a 5.5 on this map at this moment. Most of the island is not buildable, but that's okay. What? Okay, now I can't check it from here. I can see, okay, so it's like a small, yeah, so that's even... So then it's even worse because Protoss can abuse, make cannons, and they can hold it. Other races can't do it, right? So that's actually another design flaw. This should be buildable. Why not buildable? I don't understand why this shouldn't be buildable. Anyway, alright, so we go with, what is it, 5.5 I said? So we have zombie, we've got treasure, so this cannot look like this with iron, with, yeah, mineral blockers. The wall on the high ground is not good. Islands design should be reworked a bit. Too much grid overall, in my view. Yeah, so we're gonna do it at 5.5. This is it's an interesting concept, but I think it really requires a lot of work to be completed and to really be you know, a good map. It has got some good ideas. I like the high ground terrain behind the mineral line. For every race can use it. Mutalisks can use it, Terran, Protoss, and for a greedy map like this, it's good that there are some ideas of allowing some, you know, harassment opportunities, not just macroing up and doing nothing else. So it is what it is. All right. Moving on. Good night, everyone. We should leave that map for the last map. So another 4-player map. First 1-1 by Crystal Drak. With we know that gentleman from previous maps also, and I think quite a recognizable name, at least in my view. Welcome to my dream world. So let's get into a journey to one of the dreams of Crystal Drak. Let's see what he's dreaming about during his night. Let's check it out. So some journey to the map maker's mind. A journey to map maker's mind. Black Sheep World. Okay, so 4-player map again. Very standard 9 minerals plus 8 minerals this time. So again, I like it. I already see this is again a rather 2-base map. So it's the third base is tough, but then we get additional mineral in our natural. That already gives the 2-base a little bit more meaning, right? Because if you make 9 plus 7, then 2-base is weaker than 9 plus 8 minerals. So I think it's a good choice to give additional mineral if you feel like this map is gonna be longer on 2-base. Okay, anyway, so from here we have pretty okay main and natural, nothing wrong with it. I think this is fine. A bit exposed mineral line, but you can build here, so that is also okay. Similar on all positions, so we have that symmetry, rotating symmetry here, that is fine. From here we have this nice high ground where we can rally unit and so, and then we can have this third base. Actually, this third base I think is a bit easier than some of the other map because it's very easy to rally your units here, your Protoss, your Terran, your Zerg, and this base is very close to this, and you can kind of like keep your army here and defend it. So this is not so bad actually. This is not such a hard third base as some of the other maps because it's very much on the path where you would be, you know, naturally moving out your army from your base. But the fourth base is then some kind of a small nightmare to take. At least it's a pocket expansion, so it doesn't have additional ramps. It just has got 1 ramp. I think that's good that it only has 1 ramp. Again, if you make a map that is 2 base, you allow the third base with some work, then at least make the 4 base not like impossible to take or defend at later stages of the game, right? So giving 1 ramp definitely makes it a bit easier. We have a freaking Ursidon, 1 point deducted immediately in the middle. Okay, so we can survive 1 Ursidon in the middle, alright, that's it. But more than 1 Ursidon map, guys, you get point deducted. So we're not gonna deduct points, it's only 1 in the middle. If they were also on this basis, I would definitely cry about it. So we have the middle base here with plenty of gas, not so many minerals, which I also like, because at later stages of the game, you pretty much need minerals, not gas, so this is not such an important base. But it can provoke some interesting strategies. So I think I like it. So the base layout is pretty interesting. I think it's fine. It's a tough fourth base for Terran, but it's an okay third. You can do some harassment here. I think it's a cool setup. I think this is actually pretty good. Nothing really strikes me here as such. And then we have the layout here is that you have this base here you can run through, but you can also run around. And then how is this? Okay, so the third base is also got this small areas here, but it's difficult to attack for something like that, right? So it doesn't really matter. It's okay with this. It would have been okay without it too. Alright, and that's it pretty much, right? So the map is very simple, very standard. Let's talk about the score here. So the looks of it, there's a little star. It's nice, it's clean. It's not too much dots. They are where they should be. It could maybe be a little bit more of them, I think. So some more creative videos would be nice, but it's fine. I think it's... I like it. What do you guys think? Guys, help me. I think I like it. I would give it an 8 even. It's not because it's beautiful, but I think it serves its purpose pretty much. I think it serves its purpose. What do you guys think? Is it 7.5 or an 8? And it's just because it's not like, you know, oh yeah, this is a little bit messy maybe here, but let's give it a 7.5 on the how it looks, right? Okay, it's a very standard map, 7.5. But again, it's a spaceship kind of like space platform, so it's tough to make it maybe so great. But 7.5 on this design. I like the design. I think it's well thought through. The low ground third here is relatively easy to take. The fourth base is not so easy, so you kind of like have to fight for it. But when you get it, you can kind of like, you know, lock it. There's no third gas for a long time, so TVP it could be actually a bit dramatic, but again, TVP you could in theory just rally everything here and keep that base and then this, so I think it's playable. I think it's fine, so I'm gonna give it an 8 to the design. I think it's a very good design for a 4-player map. It's not something new we haven't seen, but it's just done in a way where it seems relatively fresh and the games could be pretty interesting. So gameplay, I'm also gonna give it a... I'm also going to give it an 8. It's a standard map. So we have 8 and a 7.5. We can go 7.5 or an 8 here, I think. 7.5 or an 8 on that map. Yeah. So Crystal Drag, good night that was, right? So let's give it an 8. Let's be nice. I think 8 is fair for this map. I don't really have any particular comments to this map, to be quite frank. It could be improved probably on the visuals a little bit, maybe, like, you know, some I guess if Freaklink took that map, he would add some cool looking features here and there. I think the design and where the expansions are, and that this is 8 minerals, I think everything is fine here. I think this looks okay for just a normal standard map that people would like to play. Yeah, so it's an 8 for me, and I don't really leave much feedback. So possibly make it more beautiful. I don't know how, right? But you get the point. It looks nice and simple as it should. Yeah, it would. From here, I think it would be important to test them up. So the only comment is so maybe add some extra visual ideas so map is more beautiful. Yeah, that's it. So I give it an 8. I think it's a good standard map. It doesn't strike me as, you know, anything out of order great, like wow, revolutionary ideas, but just looks fine. Good map, good job. Good job, Crystal Dragon, this one. Largo, Latias. Okay, we haven't seen any maps from Latias, I think, yet. Let's see. Have we checked any maps from Latias? No, it's the only map from Latias. And I remember he made some other famous maps, right? I must have seen Latias on some of the standard kind of like map pool maps in the past, whatever we call standard. So it's the only submission for Mr. Latias. And let's check it out. Version 1.2 also. What's the name once again? Largo. Okay, so we have Largo here. Alright, so we have those 4 base setups for each player. This is basically the main pattern. So we have 4 quarters of 4 bases. Huge middle, very open high ground, huge middle, but with plenty of ramps to access it, so it's not so easily abusable by you know, someone just standing on high ground. There are ways of moving around here. And this, okay, let's check it out. So we have 4 standard mineral count, and there's a 7 here. So very standard stuff. Some okay, yeah, this can't really be used for tanks too much. A little bit can be used for tanks and stuff. Plenty of space in the natural. A little bit too wide maybe for my taste. A little bit too hard to hold probably. Like in for like TVZ, and yeah, it's a big natural. It's okay. It can be played. It can be played. It's just probably gonna force more tech games from Terran rather than marine games. Or yeah, maybe just wall off, right? Probably just wall off. That's what you have to do. Okay, so we have this third bases then. Again, rather hard to be honest. Very hard third base in my view, because high ground is just hitting on it directly. So as Protoss versus Zerg, as Terran versus Protoss, rather hard base to hold, to be quite honest. And especially we have 7 minerals here, so we're not gonna be so rich to take it with like more units. So a hard third base, but possible, but hard. And then when you get this third base, that's the fourth base you get. So if you remember the other map, what was the map that we've been checking just a few maps ago with the low ground and the space platform also, I think. And then you know, I was talking, it's a 2-base map, and then there was 2 expansions far away you could take, right? The one we didn't give a high score on it. Was it Aden or one of those? And there the problem was that when you took the third base, you also got the fourth base, and same here. But here it's actually realistic that you do it because the third base is a bit easier. So I think it's fine. I mean, I think it's okay. Let's think about Zergs here a little bit. So where is Zerg supposed to take their third base? They pretty much have to take it at the other natural, at the other main versus Terran. Versus Protoss, they could take this base, I guess. Yeah, they can take this, so it's probably okay. PVZ, yeah, also maybe realistic. Maybe one more mineral here. I don't know. Something like this always makes me wonder why it's always 6 minerals at the third base. This seems very poor. Very poor here. Like, this base is kind of indicating that you want to take 4 bases, but you get only 7 minerals here and 6 here, so you'll be a pretty poor player, to be honest, to take 4 bases fast. The attacker may have a significant advantage here, also considering the high ground. So I think this map is less macro than it looks like. Because of the high ground everywhere, the attacker will have some advantage. Having army here will not only allow you to stop players from expanding, but will also allow you to expand yourself, because the expansions are quite exposed. And also if player is teching and it takes too long, it will have a very hard time actually moving out on the map because of the high grounds here. But again, there are some alternative paths, so it's not that bad. Okay. Verdict. The visuals, I think the map is a bit too simplistic, too empty everywhere, right? So I'm not gonna give it too high on the visuals. I'm gonna give it a 5 on how it looks like. It's a complete map. Okay, let's give it a 6 because it's a completed map. But I think it's too empty. It needs something extra. It just needs something extra. It just looks too empty for me. Especially the middle, like the whole middle is like, you know, very plain. So let's give it a 5.5. 5.5 on the aesthetics. The design, I think it's okay. It's a very standard design yet again, but I think it's balanced. No, it's maybe a little bit too hard for the base with the high ground here. That base would have been okay if not the high ground just crushing into it. So I will give it a design. On design, I'm gonna give it a 6.5. So we have a 6.5 and 5.5. So we have 12 so far. And the gameplay, I'm gonna give it at 7-ish, 7. So we have 18 divided, so the score is gonna be 6. It's nothing exciting. Yeah, and it still could see some work in my view on both the visuals and the actual setup of bases and how you want the map to be played. Like, there is something missing. There's something missing in my view. Yeah. Hey, my flare. All right, let's just write down the score. So map could use some more visual improvements, as it is very plain, especially middle. Third base combined with high ground next to it may force too aggressive games and therefore limit potential strategies for the map in favor of very aggressive 2-3 base plays and keeping the high ground. That's kind of like what I see happening there. Like think about Polypoid, where on Polypoid you just have, you know, this little bit of high ground at your third base, and it's abused so much in so many matchups. Now think about this as Polypoid, where you have your third base not on a high ground but on a low ground, and you had a huge high ground everywhere. How much that will be abused, right? If it's so abused on Polypoid with a little bit of high ground, this is gonna be abused much more. That's the argument I have about this kind of designs, where the third base is so close to the high ground, and the attacking side will just have so much initiative and possibilities of doing damage because of the high ground and you know how wide it is. Alright guys, I think we're gonna do the last map now. I don't want to stay so long today also, so let's do one last map, and then we're gonna have the third stream where we're gonna conclude the rest of the maps, and also we're gonna revisit some of the updated maps. So I don't want to burn myself completely on this now, but we're gonna come back to this. So let's do one more map, and then we're gonna have I don't know how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 maps next time. Plus, I think we have 2-3 at least that are updated. So we're gonna have around 10 maps we're gonna be revisiting. And after the first stream, we're gonna do a summary of the ranking and so on. We're gonna see what the results are. So, Mayday. Mayday. End of transmission. Okay, created by Doglift. So we're gonna have a crash on this map, at least that's what the description is indicating. Version beta 091. We have a desert tileset, and Doglift is the author of this map. I don't think we have seen any maps from here. It's the only map submitted by this player from USA. Doglift. Let's see what this gentleman has got to bring to the table. So let's see. Alright, the yellow color is here with us. We have a 4-player map. So the setup, as you can see, is that we get this 3 base setup for every player, and then we get 2 additional bases only at 3 and 9 o'clock. So that's the key concept for the map. 3 bases for everyone, and then you have to try and contest it with your opponent on the 3 and 6, and of course you have plenty of other bases on other spawning locations. But yeah, all right, so it creates some interesting scenarios. It's like top versus bottom, of course, and stuff like this. All right, so before we go into details of that, we have a good looking main. I like it. It's the right size for the main, not too big, not too small. Okay, mineral 7 plus 9, so very standard here. Very common looking natural, no vision blockers from behind here, so pretty okay to defend, very fine in fact. The geysers though being on the bottom here is questionable for me, so that's some immediate comment to the map maker. Be aware that if you make a gas at the bottom, you basically make an imbalance. You need 4 workers to efficiently mine from this gas, so please consider putting them to the top, as this is making just stupid imbalances. So that's a fix to be implemented. Make all the gases to the top or to the right. I think it's to the right, or to the left? It's to the right? I don't remember. I think it's to the left. It's to the left. It's top or left. These are optimal mining gases. Bottom and right are not optimally mining gases. Yes, top or left, yes. All right, so other than that, small fix, of course. So we have this main. We can then progress towards our third base. It's a safe path. Just please see that. You know, there's a path leading outwards here, but this is all secure. So if you keep your army here, you don't have to worry. And then this third base is okay. So the third base is relatively accessible, but then it has got some challenges in form of this big ramp. So opponent can very easily maneuver from here to here and attack this base. So it's not such an easy third base to take, but I think I like it that there is this difficult part of taking that third base, but also it's possible to take it because you can just rally units here and then focus on defending here. So there are 2 paths you have to hold. So that's fine, right? So you make a bit of a harder third base to take, but you compensate that with actual possibility of taking it, make easier. So I think this is okay, actually. I like the compromise. Then we have this low ground on the exit with some high ground here. I think this is fine. And then only later we have free paths. We can go to the middle for the big bridge. Nice bridge. 200 army can go for here. A hill in the middle. And then some high grounds from every angle. So you'll have to make a decision which high ground you're gonna invade. If your opponent is staying here, you can go for this side. If a lurker contain this here, you can go this, or you can go around. So it's not so easy to abuse the positional play on this map, which I think is also okay, especially for a 4-player map. Also from here, we can take this base, which is a low ground base covered by this high ground. So it's important that one controls the middle here. It's buildable terrain for Terran, so it's a pretty good map for Terran already, because everything, Elemental, everything but a lot is buildable. So probably Terrans will be relatively happy on this map for most matchups. Zergs may have a bit of a hard life because, well, it's you know, the fact is that this is important also. Like, I would say this is hard for Zerg. The ramp is big and this is big, but again, because this natural or third base, sorry, is pretty well to the edge of the map. If you make a hatchery here, you can actually just make 2 Sunkens, and these 2 Sunkens hold the ramp and this, right? So I think it's actually maybe possible to use this base, third base for Zerg in ZVT, despite being a little bit maybe open from that side. So I think it's okay. Actually, yeah, so I think it's a pretty well thought through map. I think it has got nice features. It doesn't have that many bases. These bases here are exposed, but it's fine. It's a free base map with 779 minerals. So also it's a same as Fighting Spirit, I think, right? No, Fighting Spirit is 978, I think, right? So it's a little bit less money than Fighting Spirit. Nice terrain. Yeah, okay. Let's go to the scoreboard then. So the looks of the map, I think it's a bit plain. It could use some more thinking into the terrain, you know, maybe some inbuildable terrains to like stop Terran from pushing with like 5 facts and crazy pushes with turrets and so. So I think some unbuildable terrain. You don't have to make everything unbuildable, but you know, just make some unbuildable terrain. I think this is important to avoid some very strong Terran pushes. Third base here, maybe this should be a little bit more narrow. I would consider making this a little bit more narrow, especially for ZVT, because this base is gonna be the hardest for Zergs versus Terran to hold. Otherwise, Zergs have to go, of course, and take far away bases, which is possible on 4-player maps, which is different on 2-player maps again. So it can stay like this, but maybe a consideration to make it a little bit more narrow. I don't know. I think it's nice. It's a cool setup. I will not complain about it. It would just need to see some play. Also, it's a very narrow ramp here, which I like. I think I like because it's easier to defend. I'm not sure though if units will be easily able to move around here in case of recalls and stuff. I think it's okay. So, aesthetics and so, it's a clean map. Very nice. I like the ramps. I think everything looks good, right? Look at this. Ramps look really nice and clean. So there are no like, you know, manually added things that don't really fit the map and make it look ugly. So I think I'm gonna give it a solid 7 on the aesthetics. It could use some additions, but even 7.5. 7.5 it is. It could be more beautiful, but I think it's okay. So 7.5 it is. Design, I'm gonna give it an 8. I think it's a nice design. I think it's fall through. It's cool. The high ground here. So design is 8, and gameplay is also going to be. I'm gonna give it a overall score of 8.5. 8.5, 8, 8. Overall score of 8 is going to be what I give to this map. It's because it looks like a good map. It looks like a good map. It's gonna be an 8 overall score for this. I think it's fine. Nah, 7.5. 7.5. Reason is that it just may be too standard for me. So fix gases at bottoms is one feedback. Second feedback is maybe a bit more narrow entrance to third bases. Map could see some visual improvements as it can be too plain in my view. Yeah, so 7.5 is my score here. Could definitely be improved. Could definitely be improved further. So not a bad map by any means. It's just a very standard map, right? That's what I mean. That's what I mean, guys. So also take that into consideration. All right, we have so far scored, let me tell you guys, we've been through 24 maps so far. Few are still remaining. So we're gonna keep that for the next stream. We're hour 45 in this one already. So I'm also losing my voice. I have to save my voice. I don't want to have lose my voice again. So yeah, let's conclude that at the next stream. We're gonna have a final look then at the results there. But so far I'm really impressed. A lot of good maps, you know, very few maps that are just in early stages, very few maps that I really dislike, like, you know, for some kind of obvious reasons. So overall, I mean, I would say plenty of good maps, I must say that. Really impressed. Yeah, I'm still looking for a map that actually is, you know, bringing something extra. So that is something I would like to love. Oh, Zero with a ride of 90. Welcome to all the viewers. Although we are also just concluding on the today review of the New Worlds map contest. So if you're interested in map making and my view as a player on those, check the recording. We will be coming back to this. Probably, I'm not sure when, because I will be playing some matches over the next couple of days probably. So and we also need to stream, but we'll be over next week for sure. We're gonna conclude that in next few days. What do you think of Ultimate Stream, by the view? I'm not sure what I mean. Something extra. Oh, something extra. Frankly, I mean that like a standard map, but it has got some kind of an idea that shakes the meta, for example, a little bit, right? Like think Optimizer, right? Optimizer is such a plain map, but they added something that makes it a bit different, right? I'm not saying Optimizer is a role model, but something that is not super difficult to handle by players, but it adds a dimension to the game, right? It could be some semi-island concepts. It could be some passage blockers, like, you know, we have on Outsider or School Desert map, right? I'm not saying this is a mandatory thing, but I think, you know, something that adds this little bit of something interesting to a standard map and still makes it you know, an easy map to play. So that's my view here. Anyway, thank you all for joining again, staying with me. Thanks for the donation, Alex. We're gonna conclude that next time, as we have so many maps to visit here, and then, you know, make our final analysis of top 3 maps. So top 3 maps I will try to also play some games on, just to give you some, you know, better ideas of why I believe these maps are actually so interesting. So top 3 maps, I will arrange some games with some friends, 1 or 2 games per map, just to see how it plays out. Okay, thanks a lot for watching. Have a good night, everyone, and see you very, very soon. That will be in just a few days. I give a host to Crossy, give a shout out to the Canadian Zerg, love streamer, and I wish you a good night. Cheers, bye.